A voice whispers softly in the darkness. A man born poor, yet wealthier than kings when he died. He provided homes for his people, but drenched his country in blood. His name still echoes in the streets of Medellín, Pablo Escobar. For some, he was a modern Robin Hood, a man who rose against injustice and showered the poor with money from the skies. But for others, he embodied pure evil, a man who ordered killings with a smile, wept with love, and ruled through fear. In the 1980s, the world trembled as Escobar's empire emerged from the dust of absolute poverty, transforming into a monster that exported not only cocaine but the very boundary between humanity and madness. This is the story of a man who dreamed of a kingdom but drowned in his own dreams. You might think of him as just a criminal, but the truth is more complicated, bloodier, and more human than any imagination. Stay tuned as we journey together into the dark world of Pablo Escobar, a place where the line between hero and monster is only as wide as a bullet. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on December 1, 1949, in Rio Negro, a small town in Colombia. He spent his childhood in a simple house with wooden, earthen roofs, surrounded by the smell of poverty, the dust of the roads, and dreams of escaping destitution. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a teacher, a typical family, but in the eyes of young Pablo, there was a different spark, the spark of ambition. From a young age, he declared, "I want to be a millionaire, even if it costs me my life." He may not have realized that one day this sentence would prophesy his own fate. He started by stealing tombstones and selling smuggled cigarettes, but the world hinted at a bigger business, a deadly, white trade on a global scale. In the 1970s, when the United States had an insatiable thirst for cocaine, Pablo understood that the path to wealth lay through the white powder. He founded the Medellín Cartel, a network of producers, dealers, and pilots who shipped tons of cocaine to America each week by plane, underground, and even hidden in children's toys. At the height of his power, over 80% of the world's cocaine came from Escobar's empire. His income reached $70 million a day. Yes, daily. But behind this wealth, a beast of violence lurked. Rather than flee from fear, Escobar weaponized it. His motto was simple: plata o plomo, silver or lead. In other words, either bribe or death. Anyone who stood in his way either went silent or disappeared. Ministers, judges, journalists, and even soldiers, no one was safe. Death and money spoke the same language in Colombia, the language of Pablo. In the 1980s, Medellín had two faces. During the day, it was a city full of work and hope. At night, it became a realm of crime and bombings. Yet Escobar fancied himself a benefactor of the people. He built thousands of homes for the poor, donated land to impoverished individuals, and established hospitals and soccer fields. In the slums, children called him Pablito Bueno. In the minds of the people, he was a Robin Hood who stole from the rich and corrupt government to share justice among the poor. But the reality was that this generosity was a cloak for bloodshed. Every house built was constructed in the shadow of a corpse abandoned on a silent road. When the Colombian government, supported by the United States, launched operations against the cartels, an unprecedented war in the country's history began. Explosions, assassinations, bombings of planes and buildings set Colombia ablaze. Escobar was willing to burn the entire country to stay alive. He entered into a battle with the government where there were no rules. In 1982, he even entered the Colombian Congress. Dressed in formal attire with a peaceful expression in front of cameras. But behind the scenes, at that very moment, millions of dollars in blood money were crossing borders. When Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla spoke out against Escobar, a few weeks later, motorcycle gunmen silenced him. Escobar despised justice. For him, justice had limits, and he had long crossed that boundary. In 1989, the Colombian government officially declared war on him. The army, police, and the US DEA, all were in pursuit of a man who could escape from anywhere. Yet, despite all his power and wealth, fear had seeped into his being. In his exclusive palace, La Hacienda Nápoles, among luxurious gardens and a personal zoo, he felt no security. Surrounded by guards, electric wires, and cameras, he was a prisoner in his own palace. In 1991, after international pressure, he agreed to surrender to the government, but on his own terms. A special prison built by himself, a place called La Catedral. However, that prison was a palace, complete with a soccer field, beer, and women. Even from within that prison, he controlled his cocaine trade. When the government realized they had been played, they decided to transfer him to a real prison. Before the transfer, Escobar escaped. From then on, a man with millions of dollars became a fugitive without a home, seeking refuge in the shadows. A 2-year chase began, filled with tension. Anti-corruption police, DEA agents, and Colombian special forces were on his trail under the operation named Search Block. During this time, his former enemies, the Cali Cartel, also leaked information about him. On December 2, 1993, in a poor neighborhood in Medellín, the sound of gunfire broke the silence of 16 years of terror and horror. Pablo Escobar was killed while attempting to escape from a rooftop, shot by police forces. Thus ended the life of a man who had started with nothing and achieved everything, except for peace. But his death was not the end of the nightmare. Other cartels took his place. Violence had deep roots, and Colombia still bears the scars of that era. Yet, in the hearts of some people in Medellín, his face is still painted on the walls, a calm smile amid the ashes of the past. For them, he is neither a saint nor a devil, but a representation of an era when poverty turned an ordinary man into a monster. Pablo Escobar died, but his story lived on, a tale of power, greed, and humanity. He was not a hero, but he became a symbol of the bitter truth that when justice is lost, anyone can become a symbol of power, even the devil. Today, There may no longer be white smoke in the skies of Medellín, but his shadow still looms heavy over the psyche of its people. And perhaps most importantly, we still live in a world where the line between desire and disaster is just one decision away. If this story inspired you, just one click away, subscribe, because on this channel, we don't just read history, we live it. From the dark stories of humanity, we create a light that brightens the path for the future.